Hello and welcome back. So this is going to be part of a series where we look at each position using this 3D scatter plot, and this will do a number of things. It'll give us tiers to look for as they're presented in the data. It'll give us targets, guys that we can find further down the ADP chart that we have some value that we can extract from, and it'll give us a little bit of a hint into strategy, because once you know those two factors, you can kind of plan out where you want to pick guys. So without any further ado, let's get right into the analysis. So looking at this chart, we can see a number of different things that can help us with our strategy this year. So the way to read this, ADP going from low to high, the beginning of the draft to the end of the draft, you have 3-year completeness on this axis, meaning how complete this player's been over the last 3 years average, from low to high this way, and then the 23-24 data draft weighted rating going from low to high this way. So if you look at it like a building, Connor McDavid is this corner. He's the best player in the league, so he's going to be at this front end of this building. Now, if we twist it this way, you can see this is the weighted rating. He's the highest rated player. If we twist it this way, completeness-wise, the highest rated player is Austin Matthews. And below him, there's some other guys that are more complete, like JT Miller. So that's how you can kind of read this. And what this does for us is it shows us the tiers as they are, and then we don't have to pick. This is kind of showing us what these players look like in terms of their average over the last couple of years and in terms of what we can expect from them going forward. Now, the axis will shift, but it's basically the same thing. So as we move forward, just to keep in mind that the ADP is going to be either here or here. But this is the first tier. Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Leon Draisaitl. No surprises there. Those are the 3 top picks in the draft for a reason. Then you get this 1B tier. So this is 1A, and then this is 1B. So this is the back half of the second round. You're looking at Matthews, Hughes, and Tage Thompson. And as I try to spin it around a little bit to show you a little bit better, you get Matthews, who's a little bit more complete. You get Hughes and Thompson, who aren't, because they're younger, and their data going back a couple of years is from rookie seasons and earlier seasons when they weren't as complete in terms of shot volume and goal scoring and things like that. But if you want a very complete player who's now added blocks to his resume, Austin Matthews, if you can get him in the back end of the first round, that's incredible value. But next tier, we look at Sidney Crosby. He's kind of in a tier of his own, but we'll lump him in with the rest of these guys, going right around number 20 in the ADP range. Then you have this clump of guys. So Rope Hintz, Braden Point, Zibanejad, Pedersen, Stützle, Nugent Hopkins, Stamkos, Tavares, and JT Miller. Now, the way to look at the coloring is the darker the green, that's the better 23-24 weighted rating. So the darker the green is what you're going to want to look for. And Rope Hintz, a little bit lighter shade of green, so a little bit less value for that ADP of mid-20s. I would think of him maybe dropping down a little bit into this 40 to 60 range just because of the shading here, because he's not as complete as some of the rest of the players in this tier. The darker green guys are going to be the guys you want to target. John Tavares, JT Miller. As we spin it around this way and look more at completeness, Miller becomes the clear front runner there. You have Tavares, you have Stamkos, who's a goal scorer who takes shots, gets power play points and such like that. Tim Stützle is another extremely complete player, but all of these guys are doing quite a bit of everything. Mika Zibanejad, Nugent Hopkins, there is fear of regression there. And, he is one of those guys that kind of popped off, had a career year last year. It's tough to follow up a career year with another career year. So I would think of him as maybe not the target here. There's a bunch of other guys that you can get in this range. And this is tier 2. So you got 1, 2. Then as we pull it down a little bit here, you get this third tier. And some of these guys are going to be incredible value. So let's start it off with Barkov. If he's going anywhere near this range, the late 50s, that's incredible value. I've said on this channel that I thought he was a little bit overrated in fantasy. That's because he was going between 12 and 20. If he's going around 50, he's insane value. He's over a point per game center, about 1.1 points per game. He's going to get you a little bit of everything. You're going to get some shorthanded goals even out of him, some power play, obviously goals, assists, everything. They pretty much put him out in every situation. So he's the front runner here, and you can see it this way. He's the front runner in the ratings scale, and then the front runner in the completeness scale as well. Then you've got some other guys back here. Eichel, Dylan Larkin, great options there. Eichel's more of a shot volume guy, but Dylan Larkin puts up 3 shots per game as well. He's getting power play time, and he's kind of relied on as the number 1 guy. He gets DeBrincat potentially on his line this year. Then you got Verhaeghe, Nico Hischier, Claude Giroux, a couple of multi-position guys, and we'll get to those guys later. Nico Hischier, about a point per game last year. Very defensively responsible. Just hasn't been the best fantasy center because of that. He's not been over a point per game because of the fact that he's so responsible. So another guy like Barkov, who's a better actual player than a fantasy player in my eyes. But if you're going to get him in this range, this is the next tier. So this is the third tier of centers. If you go very wing and D heavy or whatever you're going to do in the first rounds, and we'll get into strategy at the end of the video. But if you're going to do that, these are some centers that you might want to target. Barkov, Eichel, Larkin. I would probably favor Verhaeghe because of the goal scoring and the shot volume. Claude Giroux, if he's getting that power play time, that's another guy you could look at. Then we move down to this next tier. So as we're going down here, you can kind of see another green guy popping out, and that's Evgeny Malkin. People don't realize when he's in the lineup, he's a point per game player, getting a bunch of power play production. He's not what he used to be. I get that. But at ADP, what is this, 90, 95? That's going to be incredible value. If you like PLD going to LA, you could go for him here. You have Joe Pavelski. If you like that line and that exposure to Robertson, then the mid 80s. That's a great spot to get Joe Pavelski. He is dual position eligible. Adrian Kempe, shot volume guy, getting some short-handed goals as well. Top line in LA. So 2 Los Angeles Kings in this range. So this 82 to 100 something range is this next tier. Then as we bring it down, there's kind of this middle, I don't know if I want to delineate it as another tier, but you have Kyrou, Nechas, Reinhardt, and Bo Horvat. All of these guys I consider as really, really good waiver pickups in a 12-team league. So 3 of the 4 guys on this list hit the waiver wire in my league last year at one point. Maybe they didn't stay there for that long, but by the end of the season, Horvat was on it. Reinhardt, I think, was on it. Kyrou was definitely on it. So there's a couple of guys there that, maybe in certain deeper leagues aren't going to be there, but these are some targets you can look at. Then we got the bottom guys kind of clumped together here. Dylan Cousins, another good option, just doesn't have the track record to back up his, the rating is relatively low because of the 3-year average factored in. You have some other guys, Matty Beniers, Trocheck, Lindholm, Kopitar, Eriksson Ek. And if you look at it, as we kind of fix this axis problem, because you switch this around and it kind of gets a little bit wonky. That's the only issue with this graph type. But you look at the green guys, Buchnevich. If he's going in this range, plus 140, he's going to be the steal of the draft. So if you can get Buchnevich anywhere near this, he's a point per game player, top 6 in St. Louis. He is dual eligible right now, center and right wing, I believe. Very, solid player, complete, gets some shorthanded goals, some penalty kill time, some power play time. So he's a really great option at this 140 range. Same thing with Eriksson Ek in terms of being a great option here. Very complete player. So you're finding a lot of these guys in green down here are extremely good value plays. And then some of the other guys are, kind of have to use your imagination and think, okay, Anze Kopitar is a good play here. Trocheck's a good play if you're in a hits and shots league, and he gets some shots, some hits, some blocks. He's very complete in that aspect. Just doesn't have the point ceiling as some of these other guys. These are going to be guys that are going to be either very complete and low ceiling, or they're going to be really good at one or two things. And in the back here, you can kind of see some of these guys. I think Camp is a peripheral guy. Charlie Coyle, you're picking up because of the Boston effect. And then Josh Norris down here. He's one of those guys that isn't highly rated because of, playing injured last year, small sample size. That brought his rating down. But he was extremely good, a 40 to 50 goal scorer, at least in terms of pace, the previous season when he was healthy. He's, potentially top 6 in Ottawa, getting some power play time, hopefully. This is going to be a really nice value play if you can get him there. But that's going to do it for the centers. In the upcoming videos, we'll take a look at the right wingers, the left wingers, the D, the multi-positional players who you're definitely going to want to have your eye on. And then last but not least, the goaltending, which I've already covered in a different video, but it's nice to get this look as well. So stay tuned for those videos. Thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you again in the next one.